Bonjour. Merci tout le monde d'être ici. Hi, hello. I have one piece of really good news to share that wasn't on our advisory, but I'm really happy. It's a rare moment when, as leader of the Green Party of Canada, I come to the microphone to thank the Minister of Fisheries for anything. But this Minister of Fisheries, the Honourable Joanne Thompson, just did the right thing. It was announced earlier today that she will not sign the permits to send Canadian beluga whales over to the People's Republic of China. This question of les baleines en captivité, c'est une question clé. J'ai eu le grand privilège d'avoir un projet de loi éminent de député qui a réussi. The private member's bill I worked on to ban the keeping of cetaceans in captivity started in the Senate with wonderful retired Senator Wilfred Moore. And then around these days of truth and reconciliation, I must say what an honor it was that when Senator Moore retired, the bill to stop the captivity of whales was taken over by the Honourable Murray Sinclair, the extraordinary former judge, commissioner of the Commission for Truth and Reconciliation, who championed also the cause of our whales, that they should be cetaceans in the wild. So here we were with amendments to the Fisheries Act that were consistent with our bill. Our bill became law, and then we have a problem. The problem is not completely solved by any means, that there are 30 beluga in captivity at Marineland. We have to get them to a safe sanctuary in the wild. But right now that doesn't exist. So for now, I'm very relieved, and I just want to thank the Honourable Joanne Thompson for doing the right thing and making sure those whales are not sent to China. Mais la question pour aujourd'hui, je veux dire un grand merci aux membres de Parti Vert de Canada. We've just gone through, and there was some interest in the media about the leadership review within the Green Party of Canada. Given that I have made it clear that as soon as a leadership race can take place and when that is over, I'll be very happy and enthusiastic for renewal in leadership and having leaders who, either co-leaders or single leader, who will take us to more seats in the next election, whenever it might be. But I was gratified that the members of the Green Party approved that I should continue to make sure that transition is strong and renewal takes place, and that I had over 80% support from the members of the Green Party. So maintenant, je suis tellement heureuse, et aussi, je veux dire encore merci à tous les membres qui ont participé dans notre processus sur le terrain. We're a grassroots party, and the members are always in charge, so I'm gratified by their decision. Et je suis disponible pour les questions.
C'est pas la première fois que vous avez annoncé votre départ du Parti vert. Cette fois-ci, bon, peut-être ce sera la bonne, on verra. Mais pourquoi c'est important d'avoir le soutien de vos troupes alors que vous êtes en train de quitter?
Oui, je veux dire quelque chose d'important parce qu'il y a les commentaires, particulièrement dans le National Post, qui est absolument ridicule. Parce que quand j'ai décidé de congédier de quitter mon poste en 2019, je l'ai fait immédiatement. Et entre 2019 jusqu'à l'automne de 2022, je ne suis pas la chef du Parti vert du Canada, et il y a plusieurs raisons, parce que nous avons une très difficile époque avec une nouvelle chef. Et après ça, j'ai décidé de faire un effort encore avec un co-chef. So yes, it's not the first time I've said I'm stepping down, but I've never said I was going to and not done it. So it's important to have renewal. I love working within the Green Party. We work with a global family of parliamentarians. Il y a plus de 400 députés du Parti vert partout au monde. Ce n'est pas une organisation de top-down, bien sûr. Nous avons une organisation comme une famille mondiale dans le Parti vert mondial. Mais quand même, c'est l'expérience des autres chefs dans notre pays, parce que nous avons les règlements qui sont clairs, que la chef du Parti vert ou le co-chef ou le chef n'ont pas le pouvoir de faire les décisions pour le parti. C'est toujours les membres, c'est pour les personnes dans le terrain de faire les décisions. Pour ça, je suis très engagée pour le Parti vert mondial et particulièrement le Parti vert du Canada. La décision, c'est important maintenant parce que c'est le temps, je pense, avant les prochaines élections, d'avoir un changement. Particulièrement, nous avons eu, il y a 2 semaines, ou seulement 1 semaine, un changement dans la chefferie du Parti vert de Colombie-Britannique. Et la chefferie est maintenant dans les mains d'une jeune femme écolo-militante, Emily Lowen, qui a 25 ans. So we've seen a renewal, a generation renewal, where we also have members in the provincial legislature in British Columbia. And I have to say, Emily Lowen's win, as probably the most militant, most involved in Indigenous solidarity, and very much a climate activist, won with a landslide win, very much like what just happened to the Greens of England and Wales, where out of the blue, Zach Polanski won, I was surprised because he was, he wasn't unelected or unknown. He's a member of the London City Assembly. But again, a very strong campaign to take the party to the left, to be clearer, to call out the Labour Party of England and Wales, just as Emily Lowen is now calling out the NDP of British Columbia, saying, we're not here to take you on, we're here to replace you. So it's time, this is sweeping through a lot of the Greens in Canada and around the world. So I think it's a good time to, and it's not my decision when, but whenever it happens, I'll be ready to stand on a podium and pass the torch.
As a BC MP, I'm just curious what your take is on the ostrich situation at Universal Ostrich Farms. What's your party's position on that?
Well, I wrote the Minister of Health in so long ago now, a very different Minister of Health. It was January 2025. That I wrote to say, look, can't we get the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to redo the tests? That will remove a lot of the either anxiety, divisions. One wants to know why not redo the tests. It's not that difficult to redo the tests. But CFIA is refusing. So I think CFIA could help themselves, potentially, by doing independent testing. Do these birds have traces of avian flu? And it's become such a divisive issue. I must say most of my constituents who write me want that ostrich cull not to happen. And they want to, and I want to know, I'm not saying whether it should or shouldn't happen, but why not get the evidence? Why not, and this is our position as a party, why not redo the testing and verify the health of that flock of ostriches before engaging in what many see as animal cruelty? And I can't imagine, this is absolutely astonishing to me, that an animal welfare issue in Canada has garnered the attention of MAGA-type billionaires in the United States, which makes me sympathize with the ostriches less. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that we get our facts first. And we don't have all the facts because CFIA has refused to do the testing. C'est pour moi la question de la preuve. Premièrement, la preuve, et après ça, agir.
More tariffs are coming, softwood lumber, the film industry. Are you satisfied by the government's handling of this file?
I'd have to say this in ultimate sympathy for the Carney government. Nobody can handle Donald Trump. He's unreliable. He's erratic. His speech at the United Nations, his speech before the people of the world at the United Nations wasn't just an embarrassment to the United States, it was an embarrassment to all Homo sapiens. So I don't know. I would not do I would do different things than what Prime Minister Carney's doing. I would do a lot more elbows up. But who would know if that could have a better result? Dealing with Donald Trump is dealing with someone who isn't by any conventional definition of head of a government anywhere normal. What do you do? I would put in place more protection for our economic sovereignty through such things as strategic reserves or our natural resources. I wouldn't kowtow. I would make sure we collect the digital services tax, and I will oppose legislation that the Prime Minister said he'll bring in to repeal the digital services tax. And as to the nonsense of a tariff on Canadian-made films, as some commentators have pointed out, there's no mechanism to do that. Who do you tax? Where do you apply the tariff? The film industry has not in the United States, as far as I know, been crying out for this. Within British Columbia, a very significant part of our economy is in filmmaking in our province, and it is supported, as is the film industry in Quebec and the film industry in Ontario. We don't do a good enough job making sure that Canadian actors are paid the same kinds of wages as Hollywood actors. That needs to be addressed. But Trump's 100% tariff on Canadian-made films is likely to go exactly nowhere. Trump specializes in grabbing attention by being extreme. And he grabs attention because we're in an attention economy. He grabs attention because he wants to distract us from real things. And in that, I won't take shots at the Prime Minister's approach. I don't think it's been successful, but who knows how bad it might be, because there's nothing predictable about Donald Trump except that he's unpredictable, attention-seeking, and dangerous.
About the whales, it seems like the minister signaled that she's not going to approve any exports to other theme parks or any place that keeps them in captivity.
That's right.
You're also implying that ideal situation would be a wildlife sanctuary that doesn't exist. So what is the ideal second option for where these whales should go?
We need the time. We need the time to find solutions. And unfortunately, the time that we had between when the bill banning the keeping of cetaceans in captivity, which I said was my bill through the House, very honored to be part of it, it's illegal to keep them in captivity. But the bill, and it's why it's one of the strongest pieces of animal rights legislation in the world, actually turns attention to the question that a court might have to decide what's in the best interests of an individual animal. No other bill talks about what's in the best interests of this whale. In this case, it's to keep them with and to have better veterinary care, to do whatever we can to separate out, if possible, where they are. It's also illegal to allow them to breed in captivity. It seems that has been happening under Marineland's watch. So it's going to take time to create sanctuary spaces and find humane solutions. And I'm also talking a lot with the NGOs that are involved in this issue, like Animal Justice, who've done such a good job. But when I look at the situation and knowing the high degree of intelligence of the whale populations, I'm working very hard to stop a number of populations of whales within Canada are on the verge of extinction. So whales in the wild need to be protected from human activity that puts them at risk of extinction, and we need to solve the specific problem in Marineland. And right now, I know that the Doug Ford government may not appreciate the fact that it's now their problem, but we have to find a solution that's humane and gets these sentient beings out of concrete holding ponds and into areas where there are sanctuaries.
Mais on apprend aujourd'hui que le gouvernement de l'Alberta veut travailler avec des entreprises pour développer un pipeline. Le tracé n'est pas déterminé encore, mais on veut soumettre ça aux projets, les grands projets d'intérêt national. Dans le premier groupe de projets, il n'y avait pas de pipeline. On regardait ça. Vous réagissez comment à ce nouveau développement et le fait qu'un des nouveaux grands projets pourrait être un pipeline?
Oui, non, c'est clair que c'est l'avis des scientifiques comme GIEC, aussi comme les grands institutions fiscales aussi, comme le Fonds mondial, International Monetary Fund, pardonnez-moi, et aussi l'Agence d'énergie internationale. Tout le monde dit que ce n'est pas possible d'avoir les nouveaux projets d'infrastructure d'énergie fossile. Dans le sens global, mondial des lois, il est interdit. Alors, pour un projet pour l'intérêt national, on doit assurer que chaque projet comme ça est aligné avec nos cibles dans l'accord de Paris. C'est essentiel. Just to say, there's no way that any fossil fuel infrastructure is permitted in the world today, given the decisions of the International Criminal Court about responsibility of states due to climate crisis. Under the Paris Accord, our targets are legally binding. it is inconsistent with any commitment to climate action to build any new fossil fuel infrastructure. The World Bank, International Monetary Fund, the International Energy Agency, as well as, of course, the IPCC. C'est clair. Et j'espère qu'il y a les projets énergétiques, par exemple, pour l'électricité, d'avoir un grid qui marche ouest à est et nord au sud au nord. C'est les grands projets tellement importants énergétiques, mais pas un seul projet pour l'infrastructure d'énergie fossile. We can't have any new fossil fuel infrastructure and be responsible leaders when we're looking at the threat, the global threat of the climate crisis.
Have you had any conversation with the government ahead of November's budget?
I'll be having a conversation very soon with the Prime Minister. I look forward to it very much. I'll let you know how it goes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.